Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Built Different, brought to you by HireCube. This week, a little bit different for our mini episode, joined by Harry Lawrence from Bruce Media. Welcome, Harry.
Hey, Christian, how you going? It's great to join you on these mini episodes.
Thanks so much. Looking forward to chatting with you.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Caught your episode last week of Steve Ballerini. Just want to touch on it. How was that chatting to him?
It was a really good conversation. I've known Steve for a little while, and I think the things that I liked about last week's episode were this focus on, identifying people within your organization who are demonstrating the right leadership attributes and behaviors, even though they may not necessarily have leadership responsibility. And I think he talked a lot about how identifying those can help you scale and transform performance pretty quickly as you're trying to build momentum within a business, which I thought was great. The idea that he also talked a little bit about around how, focusing on the right actions and decision-making points is going to help you build sustainable success versus focusing on the outcomes that might happen by chance, and how we can kind of overemphasize this idea of outcomes being the most important thing. So, yeah, I thought it was a really interesting chat. And for those that haven't checked it out, check out the HireQ YouTube page to see that conversation with Steve.
Definitely, yeah, it was great insights and it was a great episode to listen to. But yeah, we're here today. What are we chatting about?
Yeah, so today I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the things I'm seeing at the moment with some of my clients and generally across the market around how organizations are talking a lot about how it's never been harder to find really good leadership talent. And part of that for me, I think, is around how organizations are setting up the brief from the get-go. And it's not unusual when there's lots going on and uncertainty, and it's not necessarily as easy to generate the outcomes and the performance that you want, when you start to focus and get really narrow around what it is that's important when you're looking for a new leader. So you're building this wish list essentially in your job description around what it is that is really going to drive performance. And it gets so long that it's almost a mythical job brief that you're trying to find this unicorn and an individual that doesn't exist. And this is especially true across the retail and consumer landscapes where I do a lot of work. So yeah, it's something that's been coming for a little while. And what's generally finding is that organizations are slowing their processes down because they can't seem to find this type of individual that may or may not exist out there.
So you're saying that the brief is actually in the job description itself. What do you actually mean by that?
Yeah, so essentially it's when someone leaves an organization or an organization is identifying this idea about, needing to find someone who can help them go to the next level. They spend some time sort of reflecting on, well, what is it that they need? So they think about where they are in their cycle from growth standpoint. They think about what type of people are in the organization at the moment, but they think about what they want this person to do and how they want them to do it. So it's there they start working through, okay, well, we want the person to have behavior A, behavior B, technical skill A, technical skill C. Then it's all these other sort of attributes that sit on top of it. And especially in the current climate where organizations are focused on productivity and efficiency, you start looking for leaders who can think strategically, but who are comfortable doing the hands-on work, who have got an appreciation for AI. All of these things, all of a sudden, this brief gets like this and like this. And it's almost impossible to find someone that has all of those things behind it.
Yeah, definitely. And you always see that when they put out jobs and things like that, it's like a short story when at the end of the day, the amount of qualifications and things they're looking for. Would you say that with all this, the organizations are setting the bar way too high?
It's not so much about setting the bar high. I think it's important, and organizations out there need to know that you've got to have a set of standards that you're going after, and there has to be some absolutes. You've got to have that. Absolutely. I think it's about understanding what is realistic in terms of identifying the type of skill and experience that's going to help take your business forward. And what are the absolute non-negotiables versus the nice to haves and not getting those confused. Because if you can start there and then identify what are then the behaviors that align to our organization, you're then going to be able to open yourself up to what is a really wide pool of really strong talent that actually exists out there in the market at the moment. But you do need to be really clear about what's going to shift the needle versus trying to find everything within one person.
And where does the problem lie? Is it the market?
I don't think it's the market. I think what tends to happen is there's when things feel like they're hard, and if you think about what's going on right now, you've got global geopolitical challenges going on. You've got cost of living challenges here at home. Consumer sentiment is down. Business confidence is tight because productivity is low. So every time an organization thinks about what it is that they want and if they should be hiring or not, they then say, okay, well, we must make sure that we find someone who's absolutely going to deliver. So it's this idea of going into risk aversion mode, essentially. They're essentially saying, well, if we're going to bring someone in, can we be sure? And what are the different ways that we can be absolutely 100% sure that this person is going to unlock value? And the simple reality is that if you're writing a brief for a person or a talent profile that doesn't exist, it's almost impossible that you can eliminate risk. So we need to be really conscious of that and really be focused on what do we think right now, realistically, this person can do to complement the skills and expertise and the people that we already have to help take our business to the next level?
Interesting. And you've mentioned before that there's actually more talent available now than before. Why is that?
Well, I think it's just to be really clear on this. It's not so much that there's more talent than there's ever been before, but there is available talent who are open to conversations more so now than we've seen for some time. And why is that? Well, there's a few things behind this. That there's been lots of organizational restructure that has meant that a lot of middle and senior leadership roles have been removed from corporate structures. So those individuals are out in market. So there's one area there. The other facet is those individuals that have been in organizations that continue to be in organizations and are considered safely employed, who are seen to be doing great things, they're also sitting there thinking, okay, well, I've been in my role for 3, 4, 5 years potentially, and the growth for me has started to slow. I'm also not necessarily sure that I'm learning anything new. So should I be thinking about what else is out there? Now this passive job seeker, and they are passive. They're not necessarily applying to jobs or they're not making it overly obvious that they're out there. They are also slightly conservative about making the right move, but they are very much open to conversations. So it's very much about how you can kind of unlock those individuals. So the people are out there. You've just got to think about how it is that you become a little bit more open-minded about really unlocking those conversations.
Yeah, absolutely. And why would you say then, why do organizations keep writing briefs like this if it's causing these problems?
I think it's fear. It's fear of getting it wrong. I see if you think about someone who is in a senior leadership role now and they can realize that there's a level of pressure that exists within their organization to drive performance, and they're saying that they need to hire someone. And generally, when you're hiring senior leaders, there's quite a significant amount of investment that's involved in terms of the salary, and then there's a lead up time in terms of how you start to get a return on that investment. So the spotlight can go on that leader or that executive when they're hiring. So they want to make sure that the hire makes sense. And so for them, so that they don't necessarily put a bit of a target on their back for having perhaps gotten that hire wrong, they start thinking to themselves, okay, how do I ensure that the person coming in looks right, says the right things, has an understanding of our market, can then be able to help take our business forward, plus then, you know, help us think about AI, drive omni-channel capability, for example, if it's in a retailer, and, create inspiring leadership and deliver efficiencies and be comfortable rolling their sleeves up and so on and so on and so forth. So it really comes down to this kind of fear of getting it wrong and also the fear of what it then might mean and the repercussions for the individual making that decision.
So you're basically saying that these sort of briefs, these long briefs, are actually just there to protect the decision maker.
Well, protect the decision maker, one, protect the organization, but it's just ultimately a bit of a risk aversion approach around how do we ensure that we can kind of drive the right outcome. Like it's coming from a really good space. Like the intention is right. It's like making sure you get the hire right and hiring slowly to ensure that you find the right person. But the reality is that you can always find something that someone doesn't have that could slow you down. So instead of thinking about reasons why the person can't deliver, let's think about what is it they can offer us. And if there are some gaps around the ideal, can we feed them in from somewhere else? Can we give people within our organization an opportunity to step up and lean into those areas? So again, it comes back to having really honest conversations around what is it that is absolutely ultimately most important for this hire and what impact can they have. You start there and then kind of build from there.
So it definitely seems like there's a bit of a jack of all trades, master of none theme going on here. What's the actual risk of all this that nobody's talking about?
Well, the real risk is that if your business needs this person to help go to the next level, then the longer you take, the longer that lead time for outcomes and the performance that you want will come. Then there's also the risk around, well, what does it then therefore say to your people? If you're sitting there saying, well, we're going to hire a leader to come in and help our people grow and develop, and then you take a little bit longer to actually identify that person, then it sends a subconscious message to the people within your organization that you're probably not serious about not only the growth of the organization, but their own individual growth and also providing them with support. Because you have to remember now, right now, it, organizations have probably never been more lean. And there isn't necessarily uh, going to be more hands that are going to come in and help organizations, deliver on the work that needs to be done. Plus, when you think about a lot of the fear that's been put out there around how AI is going to displace so many people's jobs, the right leadership in there to be able to lead people through this level of uncertainty is crucial. And if you slow that process down, not only can it impact your people, it can impact the leadership cohort itself, but also the end customer that you're trying to impact on as well. So there's a layer of cost that kind of continues to compound the longer it takes for you to really get on and try and identify someone who can help move your business forward.
Interesting. So what would you say then these leaders, these decision makers, what should they be doing differently?
Well, I think it's about being super honest with yourself, first and foremost. So if you're a CEO, if you're a founder, if you're a senior executive leader and you're looking to bring someone in to lead a cohort of your functional area of your business as a whole, you got to be really honest about what is it that you are really missing from a technical standpoint, from a behavioral standpoint, and from a leadership standpoint that is going to help you go to the next level. Like you can define that in two or three really key things. And then underneath that, it's about us identifying, okay, well, where do you think those people live? Like what type of background? And where could it be beyond that? Once you've identified those two or three key things, then you start focusing on identifying those as opposed to trying to find those and then the 12 other things that are nice to haves as well. So if you can build your brief around that and have an idea about, okay, we know that this person can deliver this amount in the next 6 months, this amount in the next 12, and then the next six after that, that will help you get there in increments as opposed to trying to find the big bang theory that's going to solve all your problems tomorrow. So it's simple things like that that can really help organizations really take that next step.
Yeah, okay. And if you had any final thoughts, just obviously it's been an absolute great chat today. And if you had any final thoughts sort of for those leaders right now who are actually in the search for any talent.
I'd say if you're 4 to 6, if not longer, weeks into the search of the person you're trying to hire, I'd be sitting there asking yourself, what are the things that we haven't been able to identify? Do those things exist with the things that we have been able to identify? Or are we setting ourselves an unrealistic expectation on finding that person? And what is it that we can do right now to help us get clearer about what's really going to shift? things for us in our business.
Well, it's been an absolute great chat and super interesting sort of topic there, especially when talking about all those different aspects. Appreciate you having me on today, and it was great to chat.
No problem, Harry. Thanks for joining us, and look forward to the next mini episode. For those of you that are following us here on Built Different, if you haven't already subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do that. Also, you can find us on Spotify. And next week's conversation is one of Melbourne's most innovative and progressive hospitality leaders, who talks about how really caring and being a good human can help you be a great leader. It should be a really interesting conversation. But for now, thanks for joining us on this mini episode of Built Different, and we'll see you next week.